So this is interesting. This is actually topical because we are going to be talking with management over the
Yeah, we'll
next
be at
couple of
an
weeks
event
here.
in Vancouver. Yeah,
So when I saw this
plan it.
question come in from Joseph, I thought it would be a good opportunity to do a little initial research and coverage on the company. So Joseph asked, he said, Q1 2023, the company made 7 million in sales. They're projecting 70 million this year. However, there's potentially some drama with the ex CEO and founder being kicked out of the company. Joseph thinks that he's mad. He's been dumping his shares, which I guess were initially 20 million shares in the company. And Joseph wants to know, is this an interesting company? Is this something that we should put on our monitor list or even potentially recommend? So, what does Kraken do? Right from the company's website, they're a marine technology company. So, they provide subsea sensors, batteries, and robotic systems. And they service industries such as military and defense, offshore energy, and ocean exploration. The symbol is PNG. It trades on the venture exchange at a price of 35 cents per share. $73 million market cap. So it is a micro cap company and a pretty significant number of shares out, 206 million. So for a company that size, that's a lot of shares out. They've obviously been issuing shares to keep the lights on and invest in the business. Now, from what I could see, there are four main products that the company offers. In addition, they also offer services and other accessory products. But these four main products include a synthetic aperture sonar, which is a new technology that can create a detailed underwater images and maps, which are better quality at greater distance and coverage than previous methods. There is their catfish underwater device, which uses synthetic aperture sonar to cover large areas quickly, offering detailed images and 3D maps of the seafloor. There's the autonomous launch and recovery system, and intelligent tentacle winch, which are designed for modular integration onto manned and unmanned surface vessels. And then there's the Kraken Sea Power batteries, which are lightweight and strong for deep sea use, allowing underwater vehicles to run more than twice as long on the same battery size. And in addition, as I said, they also have a significant percentage of the revenue in services. So, why don't we start off by taking a look at the Q1 financial results, which were released at the end of May? 7.6 million in revenue, up 38%. They have product revenue of 5.3 million, up 43%, and then also services revenue of 2.3 million, up 26%. Gross margins were almost 60%. So that's a significant increase that we saw here in gross margin, from 33% last year. Adjusted EBITDA of just under 1,900,000 compared to a loss of 400,000 last year. And then on the bottom line, a net loss of 1.3 million, about half the net loss that they reported in Q1 of 2022. So all around, I mean, pretty good results relative to the previous quarter, the same quarter last year. I say pretty good just because the company is still posting a net loss and basically break even adjusted EBITDA. But very nice increase in gross margins, very strong revenue growth. They did mention in their commentary that Q1 is seasonally the slowest quarter for services. And then last year, looking at the financial results, revenue of 41 million, up from 25.6 million. So that's 60% growth. Gross margins were actually down in 2022, 42% compared to 44% in 2021. Adjusted EBITDA of 5.3 million compared to 2.1 million last year or in the previous year in 2021. And then a net loss of 4.2 million, which was actually greater than the 2021 net loss of 3.5 million dollars. So once again, nice performance on the revenue and the adjusted EBITDA lines, but a meaningful net loss. The company has reported quite a few contract awards. So these include in Q1 they signed a 2.8 million dollar contract for SAS purchase orders for the defense industry. They also, subsequent to the end of the quarter, signed a $16 million order for subsea batteries, a $3 million order for subsea power, and a $4 million NATO Navy order. They provided guidance as well for 2023. They're expecting revenue of between 66 and 78 million and adjusted EBITDA between 12 and 17 million. So at the midpoint, you'd be looking at revenue growth of 76% over 2022 and adjusted EBITDA growth of 275%. So one of the things that Joseph mentioned is that there was some potential drama with the former CEO and founder of the company. And I don't have a lot of in-depth knowledge here, but I did take a couple of excerpts out of the press release, which announced the management transition. So this was at the start of the year, December 22nd, 2022. The company announced that Carl Kenny, the founder and president and chief executive officer, um, will be appointed to the position of executive chairman, and the then chief financial officer, Greg Reed, will be take over as the president and CEO. So when you look at this news release, there are a couple statements from the former CEO, Mr. Kenny, just basically saying that he, the standard statements, like he was pleased to have served with the company for so long. And he's happy to serve as the executive chairman. He thinks that it's a good thing for the company. And he did say that it was a difficult decision to step down, but that he's just turned 63 years old and that he thinks that this is right for him personally so he can spend more time with his family and focus on his family. But he says, rest assured, he's going to be active, not far away in his new role as executive chairman. So that sounds, fairly reasonable. I will say that for most CEOs, 63 is a pretty young retirement age. But there's nothing in here, if this were a situation where he were kicked out of the company, he probably wouldn't be taking the position of executive chairman, and he might not make a statement that he's happy with the transition. But Joseph is correct. He has been selling a lot of shares. He sold, just from Canadian Insider here, transactions from May 13 on. There's about 5.6 million in shares that were sold. So that's a significant percentage of his ownership in the company. If he originally owned 20 million shares, fairly significant percentage of the overall shares outstanding. I mean, a couple percent, not extremely substantial percentage, but still, I mean, that's not going to be a good thing for the share price, and it's not a good signal to the market. So, I would agree that this is somewhat concerning. You might wonder, well, why, if he is really still so connected to the company and a part of the company, why would he be selling his shares so actively like this? One of the things that I will note is that sometimes you don't want to look too deeply into this kind of thing. You also can look at just how the company is doing financially, as opposed to, that the former CEO is selling a lot of shares. The reason is that you just really don't know what's going on in somebody's life. There's a lot of reason why they may sell shares. It may be that he is angry that he was displaced as CEO. I don't know the reasons why. It could have been that he's being honest, that he wants to transition out of the business for his own personal life. It could be that he failed to make targets. I don't know the answer to that question. But it could also be that he just needs the money. And sometimes there are health issues involved. Sometimes there are other things, like wanting to transition capital over to your family members as well. So there's a lot of reasons why this could be happening. I don't really want to speculate as to why. It's certainly not good to the share price. I don't think that it is the only thing that is impacting the share price. So if you look at a 5-year chart of the company, it's basically flat with a lot of volatility along the way, right? So yes, since the start of the year and since the former CEO has been selling shares, the stock price has declined from about 68 cents to about 36 cents today. So down, about half. But this is not an unusual level of volatility for this company, right? I mean, it's had some major wild swings and never really a period of sustained growth. So while the ex-CEO selling the shares is certainly, a net negative for the company, I don't think that that's the only thing that's really influencing the price right now. So what is our take on Kraken right now? Well, I really think that it is actually a very interesting micro cap business. I like the industry that it is operating in: defense technology, defense robotics. There's a lot of focus on the defense industry right now, particularly with what's going on geopolitically in Europe, relative to in Asia as well, relative to China. There's a lot, the military budgets of Western nations are increasing, of other nations as well. So I do like to have exposure to that space. they appear to have innovative um, proprietary technology in that space, although I'm not an expert on military robotics, so I can't really say much there. The revenue growth is very impressive. Now, long term, they're looking at long term revenue growth target of 40% per year and adjusted EBITDA margins of 25%. So if they can hit that, then this is a business where the stock price can eventually take off. Of course, they still have to hit it. And they may be transitioning towards profitability. So if they're able to hit those targets that they have for this year with the guidance, we may actually see some net profit on the bottom line in upcoming quarters. The company is releasing its Q2 results around late August, so very soon here. We'll get a chance to take a look at those as well. We will be talking to the company directly, sitting down with them face to face. But I will also say this is still a very high risk business. They are losing money. There's negative profitability on the bottom line. They've never been profitable. They have an underperforming share price. It's always been, challenged, a lot of volatilities, some big ups, but also big downs. And it's really not gone anywhere in the last 5 years. So, you know, this isn't something that we're going to rush out and invest in right now. What we really want to see at a minimum from this company is that they are transitioning to profitability, and that profitability will be consistent, sustainable, and meaningful, and also translating into operating cash flow. So a lot of good things that I'm seeing here, but still early stage. We'll learn more when we see the Q2 results that come out at the end of the month, and as well when we speak to the management team about a week later.
Yeah, I would agree. Kraken is an interesting story. I mean, if you look back to 2016, revenues 2.3 million, and then 2017, 3.5, 2018, 6.7, 2019, 15.1. Took a little step back with COVID in 2020 to 12.3, but then a step up to 12.6 in 2021. 2022 was 40.9, and trailing 12 months, you got 43. So continuing rise. What has been missing here over that whole period, operating income was negative. So it's just kind of moved to operating income positive over the last 12 months. The estimates out there right now, there's two analysts following them, quasi analysts, we might call them. And there's an estimate for 3 cents in EPS this year. I don't know if that's an adjusted figure or not. We'd have to look closer. And then 2024, 7 cents. Now, if they can hit those, and those are actual earnings figures, then the company looks to be attractively priced right now. But it's a big if, considering, we went through about 8 years of financial results then, and it was operating negative. In terms of operating income, it was negative for that period. So what's missing from the equation is being, showing that you can be profitable. And that's the point of this business existing, is to, be profitable for the shareholders long term. So we'll see if it can hit that, then it looks quite interesting, particularly with the share price having come off significantly.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we'll continue to monitor it. Love to talk to management, and we may talk to them even ahead of sitting down with them in person. We've done that often, and then you want to sit down and look into their eyes and squeeze their hands and say hey and go further. So it's good that we'll be sitting down with them in person.